What was that like, though, as far as the balance, right? You're trying to be a present dad on the road, whether or not they're with you, and doing the biggest thing possible to run for president.
It was actually a learning from early in the campaign. So the first, I would say, month and a half to 2 months, because we were still figuring this out. We only decided as a family in January that we were truly committed to this. By February of 2023, I was in the race. I think February 21st was when I formally declared and announced. And so that first stretch, my wife's kept her job full time. That was important. She's great at what she does. And that's her passion. And so she kept her job. Raising our two boys and spending time together as a family is a priority as well. So we had me on the road and kind of the home life and then the campaign life. It quickly became apparent in like 6 weeks that just wasn't going to work, right?
Yeah.
This was an adventure that we actually expected to last longer than it did. It lasted about a year. We were planning for a year and a half to go the distance. And for a year and a half, having two separate projects and two separate lives, one me as a candidate and then the other one as the family, and providing balance between those, that wasn't going to work. And so we decided that balance wasn't going to be the model, because if I was going to be competitive in the race. And one of the things we learned early on too was, even though maybe folks like you might have been following some of my work before I ran for president, most Americans weren't. The media that covers politics largely wasn't.
Right.
And so I was a non-factor. After declaring for president, the world was no different. The sun rose the same way and set in the west the same than the day that I did before I ran for president, which required my campaign in particular to be an all-out campaign, even more so than some of the people who were widely viewed as politicians running. So that caused us to shift and said, okay, I'm going to be all in. We're going to have to do this as a family. That's the only option. And we're going to be together as a family. We're going to make this a family project. And so Apoorva made some, adjustments to the way she was going to be able to continue to do what she was doing, but to make it practical. Certain days she's in the operating room, had to be here. Other days she could do telehealth, even when we're on the road. And then decided that we're going to make this an experience for our kids. Not that there's going to be kid time separate from the campaign, but that is going to be a special experience that we all enjoy together. The campaign bus, we'll ride it. The back room of the bus ended up being a nap room for our little guys. And it was a heck of an experience that way. And especially for our older son, Karthik. Arjun, our little guy, is still, very much a baby. But Karthik was, I would say, certainly in the second half of the campaign, old enough to process some of what was going on. He knows that his parents were dedicated, spending a lot of time and effort, our family doing it together for something that was important, something bigger than ourselves, that he was part of that. He learned the Pledge of Allegiance while riding bus rides from one event to another, understood what that meant to him. We went to Washington, D.C. a couple of times during the campaign that, took us there for various things, connected that to what we were doing in diners in New Hampshire or farms in Iowa.
That's so special.
And I think that he will be, it's probably one of the first memories he'll have. You only get your first memories maybe when you're 3.5, 4 years old. And some of his first memories will be the experience of our family project of doing whatever we could to help save our country.
And my goodness, you talk about unique memories for a kid. It's one thing to go on family vacations or even to go to, take your daughter to work day. This is a little bit different when his father is doing something as grand as you were doing. Awesome. I hope you kept a good diary. And if not, okay, fine. Social media, everything's documented, right?
I should have. Actually, it's one of my great wishes during the campaign, but it actually, what you said makes up for it. Right now, we're really bad at taking family pictures. And so we didn't capture a lot of those moments ourselves. But the good news is the whole darn thing is very publicly documented anyway. And so we're actually going back and even for ourselves, just documenting and relishing some of those moments in retrospect that were just whizzing by at warp speed during the context of a year. We're actually picking up some of those pieces now and reflecting and enjoying a lot of what we took
no
away
matter
from that
what
year.
you decide to do politically in the future, what an incredible experience for you, for your family. I mean, so many blessings that came from probably a very chaotic time. Let me ask you, now that the campaign part is over, what did you learn about yourself as a human being, as a man during that process?